Hi, everybody, and welcome to this month's edition of Room to Roam, featuring Visit Mendocino County. I'm Roberta Gonzales, alongside with Travis Scott, the main man. Now, I always want to call you CEO of Visit Mendocino County because I like giving you a new title.
I'll take it. Sounds fun.
What's your official title?
I'm the executive director of Visit Mendocino County.
All I know is that you get things done, and you represent Visit Mendocino County so well.
Thank you very much. It's a joy and an honor to represent Visit Mendocino County. You know, I grew up in Mendocino County, and it's awesome as an adult to be back and representing our tourism and hospitality industry.
Now, how do you become like a representative, like the man of Mendocino County? Is it something like you major in college, or did you know as a kid, I am so proud of my county, I want to represent? No,
I really had no idea. I spent the early part of my career in the wine industry, learning hospitality from the ground up. And the opportunity kind of was pushed in front of me one day, and I thought, I would love to do that. And so I interviewed and, met with the entire board of directors, and 4 years later, here we are.
But you do it so well. Everywhere we go, you have a story, and you know the history of each establishment. It may be even just a rock on the coast. You know about that rock. You know about that winery. You know about that distillery. And you know what? That's what we're doing this show about today. We're doing it about all that. But specifically, we're calling this podcast our Booze Fest because usually we talk about hotels, yep, which everybody loves in Mendocino County, especially the bed and breakfast little locations. We also talk about the eateries. Oh, my goodness. We were just at one last week. Oh, yeah. What was it called again? Taste of... The one that we went and you had the lobster thermidor?
Oh my gosh, Left Coast Seafood.
There you go. I wasn't that far off. It was so good.
It was incredible.
And I had the oysters Rockefeller.
Yep, that was a special meal.
Yeah, and everybody has a great eatery in their town. And I don't know if you realize this, but in Mendocino County, I just finally figured this out after 2 years. It's like the largest county in the state of California outside of San Bernardino.
Correct.
Right?
Yep. Which,
no slam against San Bernardino, but they're basically home of Del Taco, which I love and adore. I don't do fast food, but I do Del Taco. But you have the second largest county.
Yes, we're almost 4,000 square miles, which is about the size of 3 East Coast states. And we have a total population of just under 90,000 people. And
each place in your county has something to offer.
Absolutely.
If you go to Ukiah, I love the mineral springs there.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
If you go to the coast, obviously the ocean and Little River Inn.
Botanical gardens.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
I mean, it's the walks on the headlands and the coastal trails. It's never ending. I mean, you can find something everywhere you go in Mendocino County.
The campgrounds.
Yep. Absolutely.
So much. So today what we wanted to feature is, I bet you didn't know Mendocino County because I just figured this out myself, is we think wine. Because we think wine with California, pretty much.
Right.
Napa, Sonoma, Livermore counties. So we always think wine. But Mendocino County also has some great breweries.
Absolutely. We are the home to 7 small microbreweries in Mendocino County.
And then what really surprised me is the distilleries.
Yes. We do have some spectacular distilleries.
You've been indulging already.
Right. And so I'm excited to talk about one of those with you today.
Okay, well, let's start off first with, I asked Travis, I said, how do you want to start? He goes, well, let's start north. We'll start with Campo Vita. And I said, north, that's west. And so I had to pull out my phone here and get my little compass to see, okay, it kind of is north to you.
Yep. Sure.
It's south to me. But Campo Vita, I fell in love with Campo Vita so much on my first visit there over a year ago that I actually became a member, and that's how much I believe in this wine. Campo Vita is located in Hopland.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Campo Vita is a really cool story. The property originally was a Fetzer property, and it was Fetzer Valley Oaks. And about 10 or 12 years ago, Gary Breen and Anna Buselink bought the property and moved up from the Bay Area and turned it into this organic, biodynamic farm. So not only do they grow grapes, but they've got 13 acres of exquisitely manicured organic food-producing gardens. And they've just been wonderful stewards of that land and breathe new life back into a place that was shuttered for a long time, a lot of years. And they're raising their family there. And it's just a really spectacular place.
The grounds are beautiful.
The grounds are beautiful, and the wines are even more beautiful.
They are.
And what do we love about their wines?
No hangovers.
That's right, because they're organic and biodynamic.
Okay, so I've been talking about Campo Vita so much. Why don't we just hear from them right now? Today we are in Hopland, and I'm with Anna Buselink. And Anna, we're at Campo Vita, and I have so many questions, a litany of questions for you. I don't even know where to begin, except thank you for having us here.
Oh, thanks for coming. I'm so excited to meet you and have you here in Hopland.
Why Campo Vita? Where did that come from?
Oh, so the word itself means, Campo means field, Vita means life. And actually, my husband brought me up to Hopland and found this property, and it was on the market, and he had this dream. And
your charming husband of 18 years.
Very charming husband of 18 years. Yes, he charmed me right to here. And when we drove on the property and we realized we were going to do this thing, we were trying to figure out names, and this used to be the Fetzer Valley Oaks property for Fetzer wines. And they had a lot of rules about the words we could use, so that we couldn't use oak, we couldn't use Fetzer, obviously, we couldn't use the word valley, and so we kept playing around with names. And so finally I was like, Campo means field, Vita means life. What if we put those two words together? Now, granted, it should be Campo de Vida, right? But we just felt like this place is so much life, and we just wanted to have that be our expression. So
okay. So here we are, Campo
Cheers.
Vita. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
As soon as we arrived, I felt just a great sense of juju. Do you feel that? I mean, it has just a really good vibe about it.
Yeah, it's funny you say the vibe, because for me, when Gary, my husband, brought us to this location, I literally felt a different vibration. Like, you leave the Bay Area, you travel 90 minutes up the 101, you get here, and your body literally changes. It's like a different vibration. Like, its energy is this very... I can't even put it into words, as your body starts to change with all that's going on in this property.
Yeah, well, Gary and I were talking about the topography of this area, and it's very similar to the Livermore Valley, in which you can get triple digits during the day, then at night you can tumble into the 50s, so you get a wide variety, a swing of temperatures, which is so conducive for not just the grapes, but I look around, you're doing everything. You're doing olive oil, and your lavenders, and I mean, how do you do it all?
We just sort of work with Mother Nature. So we let her do what she's supposed to be doing, and we try to not intervene or overcomplicate. It's one of the reasons we love what we're doing, because people ask about what we do, which is we are a certified organic property. We're moving to biodynamic, which just means biodiverse. And when people ask me what that means, I'm like, it's how they did it in the old days, because you needed the diversity. So we're small. We focus on really taking care of the planet and steward the land that we're on. And so we do it all, but we actually try to leave it alone and tend to the edges where we need to pay attention. But everything we do is with the thought of leaving it better than we found it.
You say you're small, but what is your acreage here?
So we are 150 acres.
So you're not so small.
We're not so small, but no. I would say that. And by the way, we Gary and I first set out to do something like this. We wanted 5 acres, so we overshot by 145 acres. But that's sort of how it goes. But this land, I think he and I always felt it shouldn't be split up. It's just sort of intended to be together, and it tells one whole story. So yeah, 150 acres, and we focus on making beautiful Italian and Rhone varietal wines.
How long have you been doing this?
11 years.
So how does one become somebody who owns a vineyard and makes wine, which, by the way, what is this? Because it's fantastic.
This is our estate-grown, organic, Viognier, unfiltered, very pure. We only made 120 cases. It's where you parked.
And I'm drinking one of those cases right now.
Yeah, that's right. When you drove up, it's the vineyard right out in our front yard, as we call it. So, but how did we do it? Is that what your question was, right? How did we do it? I don't think we knew what we were doing. So we, to be honest, you just jumped in.
That's how it was when I started my company.
Yeah, you just jump in, and you're just so passionate, and you really want to make sure that you have a purpose and you have a vision. And then I think we've just kept cheering each other on and cheering on those around us.
How do you know how to make grapes into this? This is so divine.
That part. you get a really great scientist, artist, and a winemaker. And so our winemaker is Matt Hughes, and he joined us on the first day of shelter in place.
Really?
Yeah. So it was great timing because actually we all sheltered in place and we got really clear about what we were going to do during this time. And he makes beautiful wines, as you can tell. So yeah, we
You were able to hone your skill by
and I
shelter in
think
place.
Gary and I know that we're not artists in that way. I think we're both creatives, but I always say Gary's creative in spaces and I'm in creative in like thinking about people.
Well, you both are doing a magnificent job. And for people watching and listening, and if you're hearing a little bit of background noise, it's because this is an operational winery. And
Yes.
we are in the tasting room right now, which is just glorious. You can see you have your own olives.
Yep.
You have your own olive oil and lavender and all kinds of good stuff. And I was asking you about this. It's a port.
Yeah, so we made this same viognier. One year we decided to make a dessert wine. So we get because we're small and we get to choose our names and so forth. This one's called the Enamorarse, which means to fall in love. So it's a sweeter dessert wine. So it's a what they call a late harvest. So when a viognier like this one was picked at, I think about 22 bricks, which means a sugar level, right?
Okay.
So the Enamorarse was picked at 36 bricks, which just means it has much more sugar. So almost close to the raisin. And so some people really like a sweet wine. We like ours dry, crisp, high acid, really clean to the palate so that you get the voice of the vineyard.
So earlier when you were taking me on a tour of this little modest abode that you have here, it's gorgeous. It's just lovely. And the first thing I asked is, do you have weddings here? Because you could just feel the joy. You feel the joy throughout here. I mean, did you ever imagine that you could dream so big?
You know, it's funny. It's a great question. First of all, we have a hashtag called #WeHostLove. Because there's weddings, but then there's really the element of love.
We need to get it all together, everybody in the tasting room.
So we focused on like how do you bring love and celebration because you probably have all attended a wedding where it's like, oh, that wasn't very fun. It was certainly beautiful, but it wasn't very fun. So we really try to channel even our couples to think about this important day and be surrounded by nature and know that nature's going to support them besides their family and friends. So we really try to help them along that journey. But in terms of, I started talking and I forgot your question.
I did too, so it's okay. But don't you feel like everybody just slows down?
Oh, yeah.
Which is good. You leave the phone behind, you leave the tablet behind, and you just look into each other's eyes when you're having a conversation.
Yeah.
You're not distracted.
Yeah.
You're in the moment here in Hopland.
Absolutely.
And that's what I really appreciate, why you allowed us to come visit you for Room to Roam here in Mendocino County. But wait, there's more. We've got a parting gift for you.
Oh my goodness.
Who's got our parting gift here?
have a
Barbara or
parting gift?
Alexa? Somebody? Okay,
Oh,
come
my
on over here.
goodness. What's this?
It's a little Mendocino County. Visit
Room
Mendocino.
to
This is
Roam.
like for like if you ever visit any of the cannabis places around here, because
Yes.
there is much more to do here. And this is so when you want to have your own shot after a very long
nice.
day.
Very nice. I love this.
That one's for Gary.
Yeah. There you go. He's in the
He's
back.
like, yeah. No,
Thumbs
this
up.
one's for Gary. Okay. And then, do you have a dog?
I do. Boomer.
Okay. Boomer. How did I know
Our
that?
winery
then?
dog, Boomer.
Here, Boomer has a little.
Oh my goodness, we'll get
Just
him.
Mendocino.
He has room to roam here too, so
Right.
that's perfect.
Okay.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
And we thank you so much for inviting us, not only to your beautiful winery, but to your home.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. It's really, honestly, a pleasure and an honor to meet you. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, so
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Well, we'll be back next time, not just to work, but to play.
It sounds great.
Doesn't it?
I love that. We'll share some more wine together.
Yes, from Campo Vita in Mendocino County, Room to Roam.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Yeah, this is good stuff. Rolling hills and vineyard valleys, redwood forests, and a stunning coastline. Mendocino County features wineries, breweries, restaurants, and lovely places to stay. For a breath of fresh air and room to roam, visit Mendocino County. So that, again, is inland of Mendocino County. And just how many miles away did we go for our tap house? Like maybe one?
So we're going to go, a mile and a half
Okay.
out of off of Campo Vita's property into downtown Hopland.
Fun.
And we're going to stop at the Hopland Tap.
We continue our room to roam throughout Mendocino County, and this stop, we are in Hopland with Ron Lindenbush.
Right.
And Ron, this is such a charming place you have here. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and have lunch with you. In fact, we will have lunch coming in on us here.
You bet, yeah.
And I wanted to say what a pleasure meeting you.
Cheers. Nice to meet you too, Roberta. Yeah, and Cheryl, my partner, yeah.
Well, Cheryl's been telling me about, she was in the corporate world.
Yeah.
You were just finishing your career with Lagunitas.
That's right, yeah.
And you were driving from Petaluma up to Hopland, and you kind of said, should we retire or should we give it another go? Is that how it went?
Pretty much. Yeah, I thought, we're too young to stop working. We both have too much energy, and we thought,
again, cheers to that.
Yeah,
I hear you.
I got to do something,
Right.
So why not do what my favorite thing to do is flip a burger and pour a beer. And bring it right back to where it all started, right here in this building, because this was the original brew pub in California, and it was Mendocino Brewing. They made Red Tail Ale here, and I was the manager back in the 80s when all this stuff was brand new, and it's kind of a full circle thing, because I talked to Cheryl about opening a burger joint somewhere and having some great beers on tap and some bands and do music and just have a ball, and we thought, let's make it kind of like the Hopland Brewery was back in the 80s. So sure enough, we're driving by and there's a for lease sign on the building.
On this one.
On this building.
And this building has a history,
It
correct?
does.
How far back does it go?
It was built in 1880. I built it myself. I put the bricks.
Well, you don't look that old, but I got to tell you, it gets a little to the elbows and a little elbow grease.
Yeah, it's a clean living,
That's what it is, I guess.
But it's from 1880. Yeah, the bricks are from 1880.
From 1880, so
Yeah.
These bricks could talk. What would they tell me?
Oh boy, this building's been a lot of things. In the 1880s, it was the Hopvine Saloon. So it was, post-mining days, and this was a major thoroughfare, the old Redwood Highway going north and south with the logging and everything. And this was just kind of a road stop. It's called the Hopvine Saloon, and I've got a picture of buggies out in front, and it's really something. And then it was a meat processing shop at one point. There's a picture of a guy with a big handlebar mustache and some kind of saw that he's using.
So there's always been some connection to food.
It seems like
and
it, yeah.
Maybe lascivious libations.
Perhaps. Lascivious libations. I like that.
So what would you attribute to its longevity?
I think it's just Hopland itself is just a neat little town, and it's 15 miles from anything else. People coming up and down the highway have always stopped in here. It's just kind of a road stop, and this place has always had the fun aspect of town. In my history, anyway, of 30 plus years, it's the place where you could always stop and there was always something going on, and I think it's been like that for over 100 years.
But over the last 100 years, things have changed.
Yeah.
Climate has changed.
Sure.
And you have been in direct line of fire for fire danger.
Yeah.
How has Hopland escaped that?
Well, we're surrounded by vineyards, which will kind of hold the fires from coming all the way to town, I think.
Really?
But the fires have come close.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, they have. And it's something that we just got to kind of be ready for. We've got a couple of generators.
Yes,
We're ready to keep flipping burgers.
There you go, to keep flipping those burgers. And then if there isn't fire, there's floods.
Yeah,
Right?
I know.
You can't, because I know from being a meteorologist, I'm saying, okay, we have a flash flood warning in effect for Hopland. Right? But it hasn't killed the spirit of the town or wiped out the topography.
No, and this town is unique in a way that a lot of the wine growing areas, the founders have moved on, or they've consolidated in with other wineries or whatever, but a lot of the families still own these wineries here. So there's really that down-to-earth sort of a farm culture. And even though they're in that upper echelon of farming, they're still farmers.
But you see, you just hit on something just so timely again, because if we don't have the fires and if we don't have the floods, we don't have the floods because we're in a drought. So right now we're in a drought situation, and so that's an act of survival.
Yeah.
And then we've had the act of survival through COVID. And how did you get through COVID? How was that for Hopland Tap?
It was tough. We were lucky that all of our employees got unemployment, so I wasn't worried about them. And, we're lucky also that we're not counting on this for an income. We're both pretty much retired, and this is just for fun. So, it's been a drag, but we'll get through it. And, we had a big show last night, and it was so much fun, and it felt like it was outside, so people didn't have to worry so much about COVID, and we just had a blast. So I can feel it coming back.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from St. Louis, but I've been in California since '86, or in Sonoma County since '86, and I lived in Humboldt County for a couple of years before that.
Well, we gave you a great big welcome 3 years later when you arrived in '86 with the big earthquake.
Yeah.
Welcome to what?
I was working on '89.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I was working here actually, and we had the World Series game on. I had a big screen that I had rented, and the game was just about to start, and it switched to an episode of Roseanne. And everybody's like, Lyndon Bush, what are you doing? They thought I didn't change the channel on him, and then it flipped to the news, and sure enough, the Bay Bridge was down, and we didn't feel it here. It stopped in Cloverdale, as far as I understand.
Yeah, I was working and we felt it, and I was, they said, Gonzales, we're sending you to the Bay Bridge, it's collapsed. I go, I ain't going to no Bay Bridge if it's collapsed. No, I'll just stay here and do the weather. Okay, no, I don't want to go to no collapsed bridge.
The weather is dusty.
But in St. Louis, you have the Majoram Fault, which a lot of people have not heard of, but that's huge.
Oh, it's way bigger than this one.
It stretches across 5 states, and it's way past overdue. And when that goes...
I know. It's good. It changed. Last time it went, 1700s, 1800s, it changed the course of the Mississippi River.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And a majority of that fault line goes across soft landfills.
It does.
Right?
Yeah, it sure does.
So you know earthquakes.
Yeah. Well, I remember feeling a couple of tremors when I was a kid in St. Louis, but nothing major. And I've felt a few out here, but again, I didn't feel the big one, and I haven't really felt one that scared me.
Right.
So, but it's it's part of. In Missouri, we worried more about tornadoes than earthquakes.
Yes, you do. I lived in Chicago.
Did you?
And I was a tornado chaser. For WMAQ TV.
That's the extremely windy city when that happens.
Yeah, right. So we want to thank you for your time, and if you want to just say a few last words to invite people up to your wonderful establishment here and enjoy some lascivious libations, what would you say?
Yeah, just you're not going to find a better beer selection because it's all my friends up there.
There you go. You know what? And I forgot. I think, hey, Barbara and Alexa, where's our swag? We have swag for our guests.
All right.
And we will leave you with some swag.
Well,
we just don't have it with us right here, right now, but it's out in the car. So I think one of you, if you want to have lunch here, you better get a hustle on it. Right? But thank you.
Yeah,
and
thanks for coming by and saying hello. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's okay if we touch because I know it's COVID times.
Yes.
And we have plenty of our...
double vaxxed.
Yeah, right. Double vaxxed. Me too. Double V.
Yeah, right.
For sure. And
yeah,
what
well, thank you very much. Yeah. Come back and have a burger. Or actually, we're going to have lunch right now.
We are. Yeah. And I want to come back up here when we're not working and we can play.
All right. Sounds great. Right. Come for the music. We're having some fun with music.
Music, fun, and your beer.
And the beers are good.
All right. That sounds wonderful.
Right.
Room to Rome from Mendocino County. Thank you so much, and we'll be back.
Thanks.
Mendocino County, vibrant with incredible views, offering amazing outdoor activities from hiking, biking, and kayaking to wine and beer tasting, gallery hopping, and golfing. Try rail biking. For more adventures, visit animal preserves. And when it's time to take a break, relax at sidewalk cafes and restaurants. Stay longer at any lovely inn throughout the area. For a breath of fresh air and room to roam, visit Mendocino County. So I really want to thank you for telling me about Hopland Tap Room, because if you hadn't told me, I might have missed it. And here's this beautiful, beautiful historic building with lovely people and lovely food. And
a great vibe.
A great vibe, for sure. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And of course, some tasty beer on tap as well.
Right.
So again, never in a million years would I have ever dreamed that there was a distillery in Mendocino County. I don't know why, just never thought about it.
I know. So let's head north from Hopland up to Redwood Valley on Highway 101.
So we're leaving Anderson Valley.
We're leaving
and now we're
Hopland.
Hopland, where the beer is from Anderson Valley.
Yep.
How many valleys do you guys have?
Oh, geez.
A lot.
It's a big county.
It's a big county, bigger than Alameda County, bigger than San Francisco County. It's second largest county in the state of
California.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I'm regressing. Go ahead.
So let's head up to Redwood Valley and let's visit with Crispin and Tamar at Mendocino Spirits.
Love them. And here we are. Hi, everybody. Roberta Gonzales, and we are now with our Room to Roam. Visit Mendocino County location. We are here with Mendocino Spirits, Tamar Distillery. And I got to tell you right now, I'm having a little bit of a note here because I want to make sure I get this correct. I'm with Crispin Kane and Tamar K.
That's right.
Right? Yay,
Yes.
everybody in the house. Come on. So now you see why I have my notes, especially when you have a shot of whiskey in front of you. And that's what we're going to be talking about. You know, everybody here and throughout Mendocino County, where we have the room to roam, we're visiting wineries, we're visiting breweries, we're visiting donkey sanctuaries, which, I wanted to take a donkey home with me.
We love the donkeys.
Right?
Yeah.
But people don't think, I don't believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, necessarily, Mendocino County, they don't think whiskey.
Well, perhaps they don't, but it's no time like the present to change gears a little bit. I've been producing whiskey here now for 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from Santa Maria, California. I spent a lot of time in Pismo Beach.
Oh, you know, I lived in Shell Beach.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Not all my life, but when I was up and coming reporter, I worked for KSBY TV,
Oh, yeah.
working in San Luis Obispo. I
Channel
lived in
6.
Shell Beach, 2 miles away from Pismo Beach.
Yep.
Right? And I'd go on the beach and I'd find those big giant clamshells.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was so poor because just budding reporter, and I would get those shells, I'd clean them out, and put a little bit of that fake grass at Easter time, and I'd buy one bag of the jelly beans, and I put them in it and put plastic wrap around it in a bow. Happy Easter.
Very nice.
So what are your stories from Pismo Beach?
Pismo Beach. I can remember when the grunion would run.
Oh, yes.
And
Grunion.
and so in high school, friends and I would get together, have a grunion party, go out for the low tide. There would be this extra low tide, this full moon, and these little fish. And you stand out there on the flats of the wet sand in Pismo Beach in the moonlight and the starlight, and the whole ground is shimmering with silver, and it feels like you're standing on water. It is so amazing. Such an amazing feeling.
Tell people what grunion are.
Grunion are these little fish that look like a sardine, and once a year they get together to make little grunions, and that's what they're really doing. And so at that low tide, there's a particular low tide and full moon in early summer, I think it is, and they all stand up on end and wiggle and dance. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
They do that in San Diego also.
Uh-huh.
So do you eat your grunion?
I never ate one of them.
No, me either.
No, clams we'd eat, scallops we'd eat, abalone, but not grunion.
And Tamar, did you have this experience?
No, I'm from Mendocino County.
Okay, so you don't know what he's talking about.
I know what he's talking about, but
You must have heard the story a million times.
I might have.
So, I asked the two of them, perchance, are you married? And Tamar said, no, we're incorporated.
That's right.
Best sign I ever heard.
Yes.
Yep.
We started hanging out together in 1992.
1992 was
And
our
we
first
made
date.
it more official in 99, and we incorporated to start making spirits for the rest of the world in 2005.
That's
But
right.
how do you do that? This is what amazes me, from the breweries I go to the wineries I go to your distillery. How do you, look at this. And I'm walking around the grounds, and you've got trucks and trucks and trucks and trucks and trucks that take this stuff out, and you have barrels, and how does that become just a realization?
Oh, it's hard work, faith. Got to have help from other people. You can't just get into this business and decide you're going to make it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, you got to have dreams, but you got to have a lot of willpower to make the dreams
Yeah.
come true.
I first began working at a winery in, I think it was 1984 in Pleasanton.
Oh,
and
which one?
Via Armando.
Is that still in existence?
No, it's not.
See, that's it. That's what I'm talking
And-
about. How do you make this real?
And then at that time, Pleasanton was still a tiny town with about 230 people.
No.
Yeah.
In
and
84?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Wow,
And
okay.
they just decided to make it a bigger town, and all that growth happened. But I took on working at a winery as a second job. I was actually doing electronics assembly for Cooper Laboratories. And someone said, oh, they need some help with this winery, so I took a second job. I was young and full of energy, but I really caught the winemaking bug. And in 1985, I took the plunge, moved to Mendocino County. I knew 2 people here, and I went back to school. And I met a guy in freshman English who said, hey, I heard you work at a winery. We need help at Hidden Cellars. And Hidden Cellars then was in Talmadge. And they were vinifying wine for Jermaine Robin Brandy. And after a few years at Hidden Cellars, I got a call from Jermaine Robin, will you come interview to be the Brandy Master's assistant? Well, you bet I will.
Right.
And I successfully interviewed, and I got the job in 1989, in August of 89. So I've been distilling now for 32 years.
How did you two hook up?
Small town.
It is a small town.
Small town. The same fellow that got him a job at the winery, Brian Zell, there was a point where I was 18 and floating around like 18-year-olds do, and renting a room in Brian's space. And all of a sudden, Crispin started coming over a lot more. And it was August, and
Yep.
I actually turned 19 in September that year, and he said to me in
1992.
August,
Yes.
I want your phone number and I'll call you in October. And so being 18, I was like, whatever.
Right.
And didn't think another thing of it. And then one October day after Crush was over,
Yep.
because you said,
Oh, that's why you wanted to start in
yeah,
October.
because
The
he
crush would
said,
be
I've got a
over."
bunch of
Because I
work.
just disappear at
Yeah.
harvest time. I disappear. I have
Right.
no time for nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So he said, I've got a bunch of work and I'll have more time in October and I'll call you in October. And so he did. And we've been hanging out ever since.
Yep.
And it's been great. I mean,
Yes.
look what you built.
Yeah, we started intentionally working together to make delicious things when we took on a project of caretaking retreat space that was 55 acres.
Yep.
And so we had more time on our hands to make delicious things. And eventually, our friends wanted us to make more delicious things.
So while everybody's going wine and everybody's going beer, you go in a completely different, delicious direction.
Yes.
And is that because of the location? Because we've been all over Mendocino County. We've been to Ukiah. We've been to Willits.
Yeah.
We've been to Hopland. We've been to Mendocino. We've been to Fort Bragg. And here we are now, Redwood Valley.
Yep.
What
But
makes this valley so special
There's
to
a
make
lot of
this?
makers of, whether it's pottery, art, food, animal husbandry. There's a lot of intentional creating of things. And so when we did release our first product, which is Crispin's Rose Liqueur, it's an apple honey brandy with infused rose petals. And we definitely did that because everybody was doing oak and grapes. We wanted to do something that was like nothing else. And so that is where we got our foot in the distillation world.
I was going to
Together.
say, whatever made you think of whiskey? Had you ever thought about that? So if you were
Yes.
that
Oh.
young 18-year-old girl today, thinking about who you
Well,
are
when
now.
we went when we incorporated, it was 2005. So I was 33 by then,
Ooh. Getting up there.
getting up there. And but whiskey.
Whiskey.
Yes.
So a number of years ago, I think it was like 1993, over the winter holidays, I traveled to Tacoma to see my grandfather, and I have family up there. So I was working for Jermaine Robin Brandy. They're making some of the best brandy in the world. And I don't know if you know the Jermaine Robin story, but there was a brandy master from Cognac who came here to make brandy. So I brought my grandfather a bottle of this really great brandy, and he said, "Nope, sorry, I won't even open it. I'm a bourbon man."
Ooh.
And I said, "Really?" And my grandfather was born in 1900, and he said to me, "Riverboat gamblers drink brandy."
Okay.
And he said, "I'm a bourbon man." And so,
And what does that mean? What is a bourbon man? And I'm still trying to think about animal husbandry. I'm trying to
Right.
figure that one out
the
myself.
raising of animals.
Okay, I
Yeah,
just
care of
my mind
animals,
went to
yeah.
other places and other counties and other states. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Oh, well, that's good to clarify that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm starting to sweat a little bit here. Okay. I
So-
didn't know.
so
Did you
my,
guys know out there? I just
Yeah,
didn't
but
know.
we're rural but well learned.
yeah.
So and then you,
So my grandfather
Yeah.
associates bourbon with a certain degree of respectability and dignity, and that's how he approached the world. And Grandpa was a partner in a shipbuilding company in Tacoma, and they built purse seiners, tuna boats, pleasure craft, and during the war they built minesweepers. They built wooden-holed craft. And Grandpa was quite a man and such a fine person. Really lucky to have a grandfather like my
you're
Grandpa
blessed.
Ted. Yep. And so bourbon is dedicated to Grandpa.
So this is a bourbon?
Yes.
Yes.
So what should I expect when I buy or taste a bourbon?
Well, first take the glass and smell it.
Okay.
Smell that some, and you'll find that this
Okay.
bourbon carries flavors of caramel and vanilla from the barrel, and there's qualities of malt from the grain it's made from.
Now,
And
when people take bourbon, is it usually straight up like this or on ice?
some people have it straight up like this. Some we put on ice. Some
It's-
people
it's
will make a cocktail.
preference.
It's preference, and there's no, people think there should be one way or another, but it's absolutely fine to add a dash of water if you like. If you want to put it on ice, it's delicious.
Yep.
Some people want to enjoy it straight. It's it's how people prefer to have it, but putting a little water or letting ice melt into it actually opens up some of the flavors.
Really? I would think it would water it down.
Well, and it does.
Well, it does,
but
yeah.
it also opens it up.
So now, should I drink it just like this? And some people like tequila; they like to sip it. I can't sip tequila; I just got to shoot it back.
Well, I would definitely encourage you to sip this and taste the flavors.
Yeah.
Because at different tasting situations, when we're at events where people are tasting, sometimes young bucks will come in and shoot it, and then they'll be like, "Oh my God, what just went down my throat? That was that was delicious. Can I have
Yeah.
more?"
Yeah.
Okay, so let's cheers and let's try this.
Yay! Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
And again, I should try something I should taste a caramel, vanilla kind of thing. Okay. Ooh, that is lovely.
Thank you.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you. And so where can we find you? In the grocery stores? Anywhere?
Well, in the city in San Francisco, the Epicurean Trader
Oh,
has Low Gap, and also Total Wines in various
Total
stores.
Wines
Total
got-
Wines is near
Like
me.
Pleasant Hill and Sacramento and San
Or
Jose.
Yeah.
Online, you can find us online in various places. Cadell and Williams, Flaviar.
And
Casters.
MendocinoSpirits.com is
And-
about to
and
go live
very,
for sales.
Very
Okay.
soon.
Mendocino Spirits and Tamar Distillery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you,
This is
too.
a friendship made over bourbon, but made
Cheers.
forever.
Yeah.
And I thank you so
Yay.
much for being so hospitable.
Absolutely.
And I wish you the best
Yeah.
always.
And you
Thank
can
you.
call us, and you can send anywhere in California and Kentucky right now.
And
So
Kentucky.
we just got our direct-to-consumer permission February, so it's all brand new.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers. What a truly delightful experience.
When I talk about characters in Mendocino County, Crispin and Tamar embody that completely.
They truly do, and we say that in the most sincere way too, because they add so much flavor
Right.
to everything they do,
Exactly.
they touch, and they produce.
Yes.
You know, this one bottle, Crispin said to me, "Come over here, I want you to smell this." I'm like, okay. And in all honesty, this bottle of whiskey, and I don't even know the name of it though, but it's there at Mendocino Spirits. It smelled like a bouquet of roses. And then I had a little sip, you smell it, and then I had a little sip of it, and sure enough, it had like a little hint of a rose to it. It was just very unique.
Well, I think our episode's almost over. We better crack that bottle and see if it smells like roses.
Okay, we'll go to that, and then we'll work our way north.
Right.
And we'll go to Anderson Valley Boone Gold, which you can check out at the Hopland Tap House, and of course, Campo Vita. And when you go to Campo Vita, please say hello to Ann and to Gary for us. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of our podcast.
Yep.
This is Room to Roam. Visit Mendocino County. Thank you for joining us on behalf of Travis Scott. I'm Roberta Gonzales. Take care of one another, and we'll see you next month.